5 strategy card games that I have loved in my past. Number 5 is Rummy. And Rummy barely makes the list, but I thought Rummy could make the list because there is some strategy involved with, taking the pile or not. I've personally found that it's best to take the pile just because of the large upside you could have. Yes, sometimes if you do that, you'll be stuck with a lot of negative points, but I find that more often than not, you're able to get rid of those and actually earn a lot of points at the end. Strategy card game number 4 is Hearts. Hearts is a trick game, meaning you go around with 4 players, and if you have the highest card of the leading suit, then you are the one who wins the trick. But if a heart sneaks its way in there, then the highest heart will win the trick. It's a trick game where basically each heart is 1 point, but then for some reason the Queen of Spades is 13 points. I'm not exactly sure of the reasoning of that, but basically one card is worth the equivalent of all of the hearts put together. So the most you can get is 26 points, and actually getting 26 points is kind of a bad thing. You don't want that. You want to try to get 0. The only exception to that is if you decide to shoot the moon. And what that means is you get all 26 points, meaning all of the hearts and the Queen of Spades. And if that happens, you actually get 0 points, and everybody else gets stuck with 26 points. You could imagine that that is risky. Now, you do get to pass 3 cards in the beginning to your neighbor to get rid of any hearts that you have, especially the bigger ones. I don't love this game because aside from shooting the moon, there's not tons of strategy involved. But again, it is a trick game. It does involve some strategy and what to lead, keeping track of people's cards. And if you get stuck with the Queen of Spades, there is some room for strategy with getting rid of that. Strategy card game number 3 is Nertz or Dutch Blitz, depending on which version you play. For those that haven't played before, if you've ever played Solitaire, it's the same version, just with more people. If you can imagine for a second, you've got Solitaire, but you've got 3 people sitting next to you, and the aces piles are shared amongst all of you. So there's not just 1 diamonds pile, there might be 4, there might be 5, depending on how many people you have. We've played at certain gatherings with 8, 10, 12 people, and it gets kind of insane, but you really could. If you've got 12 decks of cards, you deal out 13 Nertz cards, you deal out 4 starting piles, and basically you're just trying to get rid of all of your Nertz cards. You get penalized if you don't. You do get some rewards for alternating your cards and then sticking them up in the aces piles, and you get 1 point per each of those, but your main reward is by getting rid of all of the Nertz cards. This is like a fun strategy party game, and it's not strategy in the sense where you want to think deeply. It's more of like a racing game, but you do have to think about where you're putting the cards, why, what the optimum strategy is to get rid of all your Nertz cards, and how you can ultimately get rid of those the fastest. But then again, sometimes you can compensate by the amount of cards you stick up in the aces. It's probably one of the best games to bring different people together. If you can supply all of the decks of cards, you can have a whole party of different people in one place playing this same game and really enjoying it together. Number 2 strategy game, Spades. Now, Spades is another trick game similar to Hearts. Spades is the trump now. And basically, the goal of the game is to get as close to your prediction as possible. In my opinion, Spades is a better trump game because you are able to decide how many tricks you think you're going to win, and there's some partner dynamics involved. You get a partner that's across from you, and there's 13 tricks total because 52 divided by 4 is 13. And you want to determine between your partner and you how many tricks you're going to win. There's no crossboarding, which means you can't consult with your partner about how good or bad their hand is. For example, a good hand would involve the ace, king, queen, jack, and 10 of spades, in addition to some other spades. That's actually a fantastic hand that is extremely rare. But if you've got a lot of high spades or even just a lot of spades, like 5 or more, it's often safe to go for a lot more tricks. Whereas if you have no spades, you can say that you're going to win 0 or 0 tricks. The reason why this is superior to other trick games, in my opinion, is because if you go 0, you can actually win 100 points. If you go 0, you have to make sure that your partner protects you from winning any tricks at all. Now, how do you win a trick? You win a trick if you play the highest card of the leading suit, or if you have the highest spade that was played. Again, the cool dynamic of this is getting nil. If you're managing to pull off getting 0 tricks overall, you get 100 points on top of whatever your partner gets, right? Let's say they claimed 3 tricks and they successfully defend you. Now they get their 30 points if they get their 3 tricks, and you get 100 points for getting your 0 tricks like you said you would. However, if that goes poorly, and for some reason you guys manage getting 2 tricks and you have 1 of them, now your partner loses the 30 points because they didn't get 3 tricks, and you lose 100 points because you didn't get 0, you got 1. So you're penalized. And the number 1 game, playing for free only, of course, is Texas Hold'em. And even with no money on the table, if you're playing a tournament, you can make it really competitive by being the one that survives out everybody else. The best thing about Texas Hold'em is you can represent having a really, really good hand, like pocket aces or ace king suited, or if you are already into the flop, river, and turn, you could represent having a straight or 3 of a kind, just by putting a lot of, chips in the middle of the table. The key is making sure you don't do that too often, because that's considered a bluff if you don't actually have the hand that you're representing. You want to have the right ratio of representing a really good hand versus representing not so good hands. There's lots of math and table dynamics when it comes to Texas Hold'em, but the key is you don't want to pretend that you have the best hand a lot when you actually don't. And you want to tell stories with the way that you're betting that's very reasonable for other people to be able to believe. For example, you don't want to just be putting chips into the middle every single time when you don't actually have anything that's good. And people will catch on to that and really take advantage of the fact that you're not playing optimally. You're not playing at your best capabilities. If you're building this into an event you have, just put on a free tournament and then say, as players get eliminated, there's 1, 2, or 3 options for you to do after, whether that's hang out and eat food, or play some other game that's already set up, or just go outside and do something out there and kind of be with whatever the rest of the gathering is about. And yes, it can go longer, but really the only people that are playing Texas Hold'em for a long time are those that have been doing well and want to try to win the tournament anyway. There's technically an ability where you could put in all your chips if you're trying to leave the table, but it's not great etiquette, and it's best for players not to do that. It's best if they just take their chips off the table, say that they don't want to play anymore, and kind of walk away. Just like Nerds, this can bring a lot of people together in a very fun way. And again, as long as you have a plan for when players are eliminated, because in a tournament, they will be eliminated. So after scouring all of the card games I've ever played, these are my top 5 for crowds that love strategy games. Maybe you've learned about a new one, maybe you haven't because you are obsessed with card games, and that is awesome too. But you really can incorporate these into any event, league, tournament, fundraiser, anything you're trying to accomplish to bring people together, help them have a good time, and build relationships with the people around you. Please drop in the comments what card games I've missed. I would love to add some new ones to be able to play with other people. And again, trying to have them incorporate a good amount of strategy. Obviously, there's people looking for luck-based card games, especially if you've got younger people involved or people that just don't like to think as deeply when they're playing games, and that's totally okay. That's not me personally, but if you've got those games too, drop them below. Let us know what type of game it is, and we will see you in the next one.